What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at a dynamic puncher in George K.O. Chaney. George K.O. Chaney was a fascinating fighter. He never had a title, but he fought the who's who of boxing. Let's take a look at his career. Now, George K.O. Chaney fought from 1910 to 1925. Like I said, he never had a title, but he fought the who's who of boxing. A fine record of 86 knockouts in a 16-year career was the mark set by George K.O. Chaney. Chaney was born in 1893 in Baltimore of an Irish parentage. He scaled 122 pounds and stood 5 foot 1.5 inches tall. Began his professional career in 1910. And he quit in 1925. Let's take a look at the opponents that George K.O. Chaney faced. Some fascinating fighters, I can tell you. Charlie Goldman, good fighter. Pete Herman, we had a profile done on him. K.O. Eagers, Al DeMont, Danny Ridge, Phil McGovern, Abe Attell, fascinating. Young Brick, Johnny Dundee, that's the Scotch Wop. Johnny Kilbane, we did a profile on him the other day. Rocky Kansas, champion. So Kilbane was a champion. Rocky Kansas was a champion. Johnny Dundee was a champion. Benny Volger, outstanding fighter. Like I said, he was better than Benny Leonard. Lou Tendler, he wasn't a champion, but he was a contender, top contender. Southpaw, outstanding jab was Lou Tendler. Phil Bloom, fascinating fighter. Joe Tipslips, Joe Welling, Willie Ritchie, who was a champion, and Danny Kramer. These are all fascinating fighters at that time. George K.O. Chaney was born in Baltimore, 1893, stood 5 foot 1.5 inches tall. He started at bantamweight and boxed successfully as a featherweight and lightweight. Nationality Irish-American. He was managed by Harry Belts and Sam Harris. Now, George K.O. Chaney began his professional career in 1910 and was placed on a card on January 2nd against a fighter by the name of Willie Williams in Baltimore. He knocked out in 1 round. October 10, Battling Kelly, Baltimore. He went the distance with him in 6 rounds. November 2nd, Jack O'Brien, Baltimore, Maryland, KO'd him in 2 rounds. Now, I want to take a look at his KO string for a moment here. December 2nd, Young McCool, Baltimore, knocked him out in 3 rounds. Shep Fern, Baltimore, 3 rounds. Young McGovern, Baltimore, he KO'd him in 4 rounds. Now, when we look at 1911, January 2nd, Willie Williams, Baltimore, KO'd him in 6 rounds. January 13th, Tommy Buck, Baltimore, defeated him in 15 rounds. Kid Egan, 15 rounds. Young Britt, he was stopped by Young Britt in 6 rounds. Lee Morton, Baltimore, killed him in 4 rounds. Kid Williams, Baltimore, 20-round draw. Benny Riley, Baltimore, killed him in 13 rounds. Young McCool, Baltimore, killed him in 3 rounds. So as you look, he has nothing but knockouts moving forward. A couple of draws. He was stopped a few times. So it was either him or you. 1912. Back to 1911. December 23rd. Kid Black. Now, he was a phenomenal fighter. I must do a profile on him. You don't hear a lot about Kid Black, but he was a very good fighter. It was New York. It was a no-decision bout in 10 rounds. But back to 1912, February 2nd, Charlie Goldman, another fascinating fighter. Now, Charlie Goldman wound up becoming, he was involved with Rocky Marciano. Baltimore, 15-round victory. Johnny Daly, Baltimore, he knocked him out in 6 rounds. That was March 6, 1912. Phil McGovern, Baltimore, knocked him out in 9 rounds, March 19th. May 6th, Battling Kennedy, Baltimore, knocked him out in 4 rounds. June 10th, Al Delmont, Baltimore, killed him. And he would win in 15 rounds, actually. I didn't realize that. So June 10th, Al DeMont, they must have fought twice. Baltimore defeated him in 15 rounds. August 19th, George Kirkwood, New York, no decision in 10 rounds. Fascinating here. I didn't realize that happened. 1913, January 24th, Harry Tracy, New York, no decision in 10 rounds. February 1st, Lou Singal, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, he would KO him in 4 rounds. Young Brit, Baltimore. He would KO him in 2 rounds. Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. April 28th, 1913, he would face Abe Patel. And we did a profile on Abe Patel. Fascinating featherweight champion. Baltimore. He would lose to him in 15 rounds. Ty Cobb, Baltimore. He would be stopped in 5 rounds. He would actually stop Ty Cobbs in 5 rounds. He would face Young Brit again on November 19th in 1913. This is in Baltimore, and he would stop him in 1 round. Eddie O'Keefe, Philadelphia, would stop him in 5 rounds, also on December 25th, 1914. Look how many times he fought in 1914. He fought Johnny Dundee, April 19th, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, no decision. 6 rounds. Fascinating. 1915, Packy Harmey, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, no decision in 6 rounds, and he would face him again, and this time defeat him in 10 rounds. He fought on January 11th and then February 2nd. Fascinating. March 17th, Jimmy Fox, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He would knock him out in 3 rounds. Eddie O'Keefe, Eddie Morgan, no decisions and knockouts. Jack White, Baltimore, KO him in 1 round. That was October 26th. 1916, January 1st, Frankie Nelson, Baltimore, Maryland, KO him in 3 rounds. September 4th, Johnny Kilbane. He was knocked out in 3rd round for the World Featherweight Championship. So that was his first opportunity for a title shot against Johnny Kilbane. We did a profile on him. And that's a remarkable opportunity he had, but he was stopped in the 3rd round. Like I said, he was KO or get KO'd, as you can see from his resume here. 1970, January 15th, Kid Julian, Baltimore, Maryland, 4-round knockout. Al DeMont, January 29th, Baltimore. He would defeat him in 15 rounds. February 12th, Willie Jones, Baltimore, Maryland. He would knock him out in 5 rounds. Chick Hayes, February 19th, Baltimore. Defeat him in 15 rounds. Fascinating. Look how many times he fought. Actually, let's look at this one. On May 14th, Phil Powell Moore, fascinating, Baltimore. Killed him in 2 rounds. I showed you Powell Moore a couple of videos back. July 12th, Johnny Dundee, the Scott Swap, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. No decision, 6 rounds. July 23rd, Rocky, Kansas, Buffalo, New York. No decision in 10 rounds. September 10th, Rocky, Kansas, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 6 rounds, no decision. Benny Volga. September 23rd, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. No decision in 6 rounds. November 19th, Johnny Dundee, Scott Swap, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. No decision in 6 rounds. 1918. I just want to show you how many times he fought in 1918. Artie Root, Philadelphia, no decision in 6 rounds. Charlie Kid Thomas, Baltimore, defeat him in 10 rounds. Johnny Ray, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, no decision in 10 rounds. Eddie O'Keefe, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He would kill him in 5 rounds. Lou Tendler, September 18th, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, no decision in 6 rounds. Lou Tendler was a very good boxer. He was a southpaw. 1919, January 4th, Babe Picato, Baltimore. He would knock him out in 4 rounds. Phil Bloom, Dynamic Fighter, August 9th, Baltimore. No decision in 6 rounds. August 23rd, 1920, he would face Rocky, Kansas in Baltimore, and he would lose a 12-round bout. November 15th, Johnny Mahoney, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He would stop him in 4 rounds. Fascinating. He would fight 1921. Look at the KO strength. He had 1 loss, Johnny Dundee in Boston, 10-round loss. That was June 10th of 1921. Pepper Martin, another good fighter, April 18th, Camden, New Jersey. KO him in 2 rounds. Phil Salvador, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He would knock him out in 3 rounds, November 7th. Johnny Dundee, November 18th, New York. He would lose on a foul in 5 rounds. 1922, January 2nd, Otto Wallace, Baltimore, Maryland. He would defeat him in 12 rounds. January 17th, Alex Hart, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He would KO him in 3 rounds. January 30th, Harry Carson, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He KO'd him in 5 rounds. Fascinating. And we have several fights in 1923. He would lose on a foul 3 different times. The one time would be to Danny Kramer, Philadelphia. He would lose on a foul in 2 rounds on May 24th. And then he would lose on a foul two times in a row. September 24th, Harry Kid Brown, Philadelphia, would lose on a foul in 1. December 5th, Ted Merchant, Baltimore, Maryland. He would lose on a foul in 3. 1924, then he would lose on another foul, 16. April 16, Red Cap, Wilson, Baltimore. He would lose on a foul in 2. And he was stopped 2 times in 1925. February 23rd, Tommy O'Brien, New York. He was stopped in 6. And August 10th, Danny Kramer, Philadelphia. He was stopped in 1. George K.O. Chaney died December 20th, 1958 in Baltimore, Maryland. So there you have it. George K.O. Chaney, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. This is Scrapbook Boxing. I just wanted to do a profile on him. Thought he was a dynamic puncher. We'll recognize him as a dynamic fighter. Salute to my subscribers. One love. Peace.